If you are over 60 and still eating 3 meals a day because that's what you've always done, stop for a moment and listen carefully. I hear this same pattern almost every week in my clinic. Doctor, I eat breakfast, lunch and dinner like I'm supposed to. I don't understand why my health is declining. Just recently, a 71-year-old patient told me exactly this. She had been following the traditional 3 meals a day approach her entire life. She thought she was doing everything right. What surprised her was this. Her constant eating pattern was accelerating her aging, damaging her metabolism, and significantly shortening her lifespan. She was not being careless with her health. She was following outdated advice that modern science has completely overturned. New research shows that one very common eating mistake, especially in adults over 60, can reduce your healthy lifespan by 10 to 15 years and dramatically increase your risk of diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and cancer. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. And in this video, I will explain that mistake, why it's so damaging after age 60, and the 5 proven eating patterns that can add healthy years to your life and reverse metabolic damage you may have already accumulated. Before we dive in, drop a comment with your age and where you're watching from today. Are you still eating 3 meals a day, or have you experimented with different eating patterns? Write your answer below because your experience helps our entire community. And hit that subscribe button because I share life-saving health strategies like this every week to help you thrive after 60. Most people believe that eating 3 square meals a day is the foundation of good health. But in adults over 60, that assumption is often working against your longevity. Here's what most people don't realize. Your body was never designed for constant food intake. For 99% of human history, our ancestors experienced regular periods without food. They ate when food was available and went without when it wasn't. This pattern shaped our metabolism at the cellular level. Our bodies developed sophisticated systems to thrive during feeding periods and repair themselves during fasting periods. Both states are essential for optimal health and longevity. When you eat 3 meals a day, plus snacks, you keep your body in a constant fed state. Your insulin levels never drop completely. Your cells never activate their deep cleaning and repair mechanisms. Your metabolism never gets a break from processing food. This alone can dramatically accelerate aging. By the time you reach 60, your metabolism has already slowed significantly. Your cells have accumulated decades of damage. Your insulin sensitivity has decreased. Your body's repair mechanisms have become less efficient. Constant eating makes all of these age-related changes worse. Here is the problem. The traditional 3 meals a day advice came from industrial-era work schedules, not from human biology. It was designed to fuel factory workers, not to optimize longevity. I saw this clearly with one of my patients named Dorothy, age 68. She ate a healthy breakfast at 7 a.m., a balanced lunch at noon, and a nutritious dinner at 6 p.m. She avoided junk food. She watched her portions. She exercised regularly. Yet her fasting blood sugar kept creeping up. Her weight gradually increased despite eating the same amount. Her energy levels dropped every afternoon. Her doctor had started talking about diabetes medication. When we analysed her eating pattern, the problem became obvious. She was eating every 5 to 6 hours, which meant her insulin levels stayed elevated almost constantly. Her body never had time to tap into fat stores for energy. Her cells never activated autophagy, the cellular cleaning process that removes damaged components and prevents disease. What most people do not realize is that the timing of when you eat matters just as much as what you eat. In older adults, extending the time between meals triggers powerful longevity pathways that 3 meals a day eating completely shuts down. This is why so many seniors eat healthy foods but still experience metabolic decline and accelerated aging. Now here is where the first major mistake happens. Most seniors eat breakfast immediately after waking because they believe it's the most important meal of the day. They assume that skipping breakfast will slow their metabolism or cause muscle loss. But in people over 60, this approach often backfires. Breaking your overnight fast too early prevents your body from completing essential repair processes that happen during extended fasting periods. With age, your body's ability to handle glucose decreases. Your pancreas produces insulin less efficiently. Your cells become more resistant to insulin's effects. Eating first thing in the morning, when cortisol levels are naturally highest, spikes blood sugar even more dramatically than it would in younger people. Without allowing proper fasting time, your metabolism stays locked in storage mode instead of burning mode. This is not rare. It is extremely common. That 71-year-old patient I mentioned earlier was eating a bowl of oatmeal with fruit within 30 minutes of waking every single day for 50 years. Same routine, same timing, same belief that breakfast was essential. Yet her hemoglobin A1C, a measure of average blood sugar over 3 months, had climbed to 6.2, putting her in the pre-diabetic range. Her waist circumference had increased by 6 inches since age 50. Her inflammatory markers were elevated. When we implemented a proper time-restricted eating pattern, not constant grazing or traditional meal timing, her metabolic markers transformed within 4 months. Her A1C dropped to 5.4. Her waist circumference decreased by 4 inches. Her energy stabilized throughout the day. This is why meal timing matters just as much as meal quality. If you're finding this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It really supports the channel and helps us reach more seniors who need this information. Now, let us talk about the first proven eating pattern for longevity, and this one is extremely powerful. Method number 1 is time-restricted eating with a 16.8 pattern. If you look at most people's approach to eating, they consume food over a 14 to 16-hour window each day. They eat from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. or even longer. They assume spreading food throughout the day keeps metabolism high, but your body's longevity mechanisms work opposite to this belief. Time-restricted eating means condensing all your food intake into an 8-hour window and fasting for 16 hours. For most seniors, this means eating between noon and 8 p.m. or 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. During the 16-hour fasting window, your body undergoes profound metabolic shifts. In adults over 60, this eating pattern activates cellular repair mechanisms that constant eating suppresses. I saw this with a patient named Robert, aged 73. He had been eating from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily for decades. His diabetes medication kept increasing. His weight kept climbing despite eating healthy foods. His doctor warned him about cardiovascular complications. When we shifted him to eating only between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m., keeping the same foods and same calories, just changing the timing, his transformation was remarkable. Within 8 weeks, his fasting blood sugar dropped from 142 to 108. His triglycerides fell from 220 to 145. He lost 16 pounds without counting a single calorie. His afternoon brain fog disappeared. But here's what made the biggest difference. His body composition changed. He lost fat while maintaining muscle mass. Research shows that 16.8 time-restricted eating in older adults triggers autophagy, the cellular cleaning process that removes damaged proteins and organelles. This process declines naturally with age, but can be reactivated through fasting. Studies demonstrate that autophagy reduces Alzheimer's risk, decreases cancer incidence, improves immune function, and extends healthy lifespan in animal models by up to 30%. Another critical benefit is insulin sensitivity improvement. When you stop eating by 8 p.m. and don't eat again until noon the next day, your insulin levels drop completely. Your cells become more sensitive to insulin. Your pancreas gets a break from constant insulin production. This pattern reverses insulin resistance, the root cause of type 2 diabetes and a major driver of aging. There is also a dangerous misunderstanding about breakfast skipping. Some people believe skipping breakfast will cause muscle loss or slow metabolism. In reality, growth hormone levels actually increase during fasting, which protects muscle mass. Metabolic rate does not drop during short-term fasting. It may even increase slightly as your body releases norepinephrine to mobilize fat stores. The key lesson here is simple. If you are over 60, eating constantly throughout the day prevents your body from activating its most powerful longevity and repair mechanisms. Condensing your eating into an 8-hour window allows your cells to clean house, repair damage, and optimize metabolism. Now we come to the second proven method, and this one saves thousands of lives every year. Method number 2 is strategic protein timing and distribution. Many seniors either eat too little protein or distribute it poorly throughout the day. They have toast and coffee for breakfast, a small salad for lunch, and finally get adequate protein at dinner. By that point, their bodies have been breaking down muscle tissue all day to meet amino acid needs. Muscle loss accelerates dramatically after age 60. Without adequate protein intake properly timed, you can lose 3 to 8% of your muscle mass per decade. Muscle is not just about strength. It's your metabolic engine. It's your glucose disposal system. It's your longevity reservoir. I saw this pattern in a 69-year-old patient named Helen. She prided herself on eating light during the day. She had fruit and yogurt for breakfast, soup and crackers for lunch, then a chicken breast with vegetables for dinner. She thought she was eating healthy. Her total protein intake was adequate at about 60 grams daily, but the distribution was terrible. She got 5 grams at breakfast, 10 grams at lunch, and 45 grams at dinner. Research shows this pattern fails to stimulate muscle protein synthesis effectively. When we restructured her protein intake to 25 grams at each meal within her 8-hour eating window, something remarkable happened. She ate the same total amount of protein, just distributed differently. Within 12 weeks, her muscle mass increased by 4 pounds. Her strength improved measurably. Her metabolic rate increased. Her blood sugar control improved because muscle is the primary tissue that takes up glucose from the bloodstream. Another overlooked issue is protein quality and completeness. Many seniors rely on incomplete proteins like beans, grains, or vegetables without combining them properly or adding complete protein sources. For optimal muscle maintenance in older adults, you need complete proteins containing all essential amino acids. The best sources include eggs, fish, poultry, lean meat, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and whey protein. Plant-based eaters need to combine protein sources or use higher quantities to get adequate essential amino acids. Finally, many seniors eat protein at the wrong times relative to their fasting window. If you're doing 16.8 time restricted eating, your first meal should include at least 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein. This stops muscle breakdown that occurred during the fasting period and stimulates muscle protein synthesis. Your second meal within the eating window should also contain 25 to 30 grams of protein. I had a patient aged 67 named Thomas, who combined time-restricted eating with proper protein timing. He ate his first meal at 11 a.m. with 3 eggs and Greek yogurt, providing 32 grams of protein. His second meal at 6 p.m. included 6 ounces of salmon and quinoa, providing another 35 grams of protein. Total protein, 67 grams daily, perfectly distributed, consumed within an 8-hour window. After 5 months, his body composition analysis showed remarkable changes. He lost 22 pounds of fat while gaining 6 pounds of muscle. His metabolic age, calculated from body composition and metabolic markers, dropped from 74 to 61. His strength increased across all measurements. His balance improved, reducing fall risk. That protein timing and distribution made the difference between healthy aging and accelerated decline. By this point, you may realize something important. Most seniors are not eating too much or too little. They are eating at the wrong times with the wrong distribution. Each meal timed poorly or each protein portion distributed incorrectly accelerates muscle loss and metabolic decline. Together, these patterns can subtract years from your healthy lifespan. Now let me walk you through the third proven eating pattern for longevity. This is the approach I use with my own patients over 60. Method number 3 is nutrient density prioritization with reduced eating frequency. For most seniors, traditional advice says eat smaller, more frequent meals to keep metabolism high and blood sugar stable. But emerging research shows this approach actually accelerates aging. Eating frequently keeps insulin elevated, prevents fat burning, and blocks cellular repair mechanisms. Nutrient density means getting maximum vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and beneficial compounds from every calorie you consume. Reduced eating frequency means eating 1 or 2 nutrient-dense meals daily instead of 3 meals plus snacks. When you combine these approaches, your body receives all necessary nutrients while spending more time in the fasted, repair-activated state. This alone can dramatically improve longevity markers. Third, the appropriate food choices. For high nutrient density eating in seniors, prioritize leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, colourful vegetables rich in antioxidants, fatty fish high in omega-3s, berries packed with polyphenols, nuts and seeds for healthy fats and minerals, pasture-raised eggs for complete protein and choline, and fermented foods for gut health. These foods provide maximum nutrition per calorie. They support cellular repair, reduce inflammation, and activate longevity pathways. Fourth, understanding meal composition. Each meal should include high-quality protein for muscle maintenance, healthy fats for satiety and hormone production, fiber-rich vegetables for gut health and blood sugar control, and minimal processed carbohydrates that spike insulin unnecessarily. Fifth, the power of occasional extended fasting. Beyond daily 16/8 eating, periodic 24-hour fasts once or twice monthly provide additional longevity benefits. These longer fasts deeply activate autophagy, reset immune function, improve stem cell regeneration, and enhance metabolic flexibility. For seniors, this might mean eating dinner at 6 p.m. one day and not eating again until 6 p.m. the next day, consuming only water, black coffee, or tea during the fast. Sixth, hydration strategy. During fasting periods, proper hydration becomes critical. Seniors should drink at least 64 ounces of water daily, more during fasting periods. Adding electrolytes, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium, prevents dehydration and supports fasting tolerance. Seventh, gradual adaptation. Sudden dramatic changes in eating patterns can be difficult, especially for seniors with established routines. Start with 12-12 time restriction, gradually extending to 14-10, then 16.8, then considering longer fasts. This allows your body to adapt metabolically and psychologically. Now let me walk you through the third proven eating pattern for longevity. This is the approach I use with my own patients over 60. Method number 3 is nutrient density prioritization with reduced eating frequency. For most seniors, traditional advice says eat smaller, more frequent meals to keep metabolism high and blood sugar stable. But emerging research shows this approach actually accelerates aging. Eating frequently keeps insulin elevated, prevents fat burning, and blocks cellular repair mechanisms. Nutrient density means getting maximum vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and beneficial compounds from every calorie you consume. Reduced eating frequency means eating 1 or 2 nutrient-dense meals daily instead of 3 meals plus snacks. When you combine these approaches, your body receives all necessary nutrients while spending more time in the fasted, repair-activated state. This alone can dramatically improve longevity markers. I had a patient aged 72 who followed this nutrient density, reduced frequency protocol. She shifted from 3 meals daily to 2 nutrient-packed meals within a 6-hour window. Her first meal at 1 p.m. included a large salad with mixed greens, vegetables, avocado, walnuts, and grilled salmon. Her second meal at 7 p.m. featured roasted vegetables, pasture-raised chicken, and a small portion of sweet potato. She drank bone broth and herbal tea during fasting hours. After 6 months, her biological age markers showed dramatic improvement. Her telomere length, a marker of cellular aging, had stabilized instead of shortening. Her inflammatory markers dropped by 60%. Her cognitive function scores improved. Her energy became steady throughout the day without afternoon crashes. That nutrient density combined with eating frequency reduction gave her results that medication never could. At this point, it is important to understand one critical truth. Changing when you eat is powerful, but it is not magic without also considering what you eat and how you live. One of the most common issues is eating junk food within a restricted window. If you fast for 16 hours then break your fast with donuts, pizza and soda, you will not get longevity benefits. Time restriction works best with nutrient-dense whole foods. Another overlooked factor is chronic stress. High cortisol levels block many benefits of time-restricted eating. Stress drives inflammation, disrupts sleep, and impairs cellular repair even with optimal eating patterns. In seniors dealing with significant stress, fasting may need to be approached more gradually. Sleep quality is another silent contributor. Poor sleep disrupts hunger hormones, increases insulin resistance, and reduces autophagy effectiveness. Optimal eating patterns combined with 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep produce synergistic longevity benefits. There is also the issue of medication timing. Some medications must be taken with food. Others work better on an empty stomach. Seniors taking multiple medications need to coordinate eating windows with medication schedules carefully with their physicians. This is why persistent symptoms or concerning changes should always be evaluated thoroughly by a medical professional. Do not assume that changing meal timing will fix underlying disease without proper medical oversight. I want to share a quick example. A 74-year-old man came to me excited about fasting. He had read online that it cures everything. He stopped eating for 3 days without medical supervision. He was taking diabetes medication and blood pressure medication. His blood sugar dropped dangerously low. He became dizzy and nearly fell. Once we created a proper medically supervised plan with medication adjustments, he successfully implemented 16.8 eating and experienced excellent results. But attempting dramatic changes without medical guidance was dangerous. Now let us continue with the fourth proven longevity eating pattern. Method number 4 is caloric cycling and metabolic confusion. Many seniors eat roughly the same number of calories every single day for decades. Monday looks like Tuesday looks like Wednesday. Same breakfast, similar lunch, predictable dinner. Their metabolism adapts to this constant pattern by becoming more efficient, which sounds good but actually accelerates aging. When your metabolism becomes highly efficient, it means your cells are doing less work, burning fewer calories, and activating fewer repair processes. Metabolic confusion means varying your caloric intake and macronutrient ratios throughout the week. Some days you eat more, some days less. Some days higher in healthy fats, some days higher in protein. This variation keeps your metabolism flexible and responsive. Metabolic flexibility is one of the strongest predictors of longevity. It means your cells can easily switch between burning glucose and burning fat depending on availability. I saw this clearly with a 70-year-old patient named Margaret. She had eaten 1,400 calories daily for 15 years, trying to maintain her weight. She exercised regularly. She chose healthy foods. Yet her weight kept creeping up about 2 pounds per year. Her metabolism had adapted downward to match her consistent intake. She was tired constantly. Her thyroid function was declining. Her body was conserving energy because it received the exact same fuel every single day. When we implemented caloric cycling, everything changed. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1,600 calories with higher protein. Tuesday, Thursday, 1,000 calories with extended fasting. Saturday, 1,800 calories with higher healthy fats. Sunday, 1,200 calories with moderate activity. Her weekly average was still about 1,400 calories, the same as before, but now distributed variably instead of evenly. Within 10 weeks, remarkable changes occurred. Her metabolic rate increased measurably through indirect calorimetry testing. She lost 14 pounds, all from fat tissue. Her energy levels stabilized and actually increased. Her thyroid function markers improved without medication changes. Her body stopped fighting to conserve every calorie because it never knew what was coming next. Many seniors resist this approach because they like routine and predictability. But metabolic health requires variation. In nature, our ancestors never ate the same amount daily. Some days they feasted. Some days they ate very little. Some days they consumed mostly protein from a successful hunt. Other days mostly plant foods. This variation is what our metabolism expects. Another key principle is combining caloric cycling with nutrient timing. On higher calorie days, eat earlier in your eating window to fuel activity and muscle building. On lower calorie days, eat later to extend the fasting period and maximize cellular cleanup. This strategic variation amplifies both approaches. I encourage you to think about your current eating pattern. If you eat approximately the same foods at the same times in the same amounts every single day, your metabolism has likely adapted to that pattern. It is running efficiently but not optimally. Breaking that pattern with strategic variation can reawaken metabolic responsiveness. The key is making variations intentional, not random. Random, chaotic eating creates stress. Intentional cycling creates adaptation and resilience. Plan your week. Decide which days will be higher intake for muscle building and energy. Decide which days will be lower intake for cellular repair and fat burning. Follow that pattern consistently week after week. Your body will adapt by becoming more metabolically flexible, which translates directly to improved longevity. Now we come to the fifth and final proven eating pattern for longevity. Method number 5 is hormetic stress through strategic nutrient restriction. This surprises most seniors because it sounds counterintuitive. Restrict nutrients to improve health? But the science is clear and powerful. Hormesis means that small amounts of stress make biological systems stronger. Exercise is hormetic stress on muscles. Cold exposure is hormetic stress on metabolism. Strategic nutrient restriction is hormetic stress on cells that activates longevity pathways. This does not mean malnutrition or deficiency. It means periodically restricting specific nutrients to trigger beneficial cellular responses, then providing adequate nutrition during feeding periods. The most researched approach is protein cycling. Periods of lower protein intake activate autophagy and cellular cleaning mechanisms. Periods of higher protein intake support muscle maintenance and repair. For seniors, this might mean 2 to 3 days per month with protein intake around 0.3 grams per pound of body weight instead of the usual 0.5 to 0.6 grams. During these lower protein days, cellular cleanup mechanisms activate powerfully. Another approach is periodic methionine restriction. Methionine is an amino acid found abundantly in meat, eggs, and dairy. Restricting methionine-rich foods periodically while emphasizing plant proteins triggers longevity pathways similar to caloric restriction, but without reducing total calories. This can be achieved by having 2 or 3 plant-based days weekly. There is also strategic carbohydrate cycling. Very low carbohydrate days increase fat burning and metabolic flexibility. Moderate carbohydrate days support thyroid function and hormone balance. Alternating between these states prevents metabolic adaptation in either direction. A 68-year-old patient named Elizabeth implemented this approach with remarkable results. Most days she ate moderate protein, moderate healthy fats, and low processed carbohydrates within a 16.8 window. 2 days monthly, she reduced protein to about 30 grams total, emphasizing vegetables, fruits, and plant proteins. 1 day weekly, she ate entirely plant-based to reduce methionine. 2 days weekly, she included a small portion of complex carbohydrates like sweet potato or quinoa. Her body responded powerfully to these strategic variations. Within 8 months, her biological age markers improved dramatically. Her insulin sensitivity increased significantly. Her inflammation markers, particularly C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, dropped to levels typically seen in people 15 years younger. Her autophagy markers, measured through blood tests for autophagy-related proteins, increased substantially. Her cognitive testing scores improved, particularly in memory and processing speed. Most remarkably, her energy and vitality increased in ways she had not experienced since her 50s. Research clearly shows that strategic nutrient restriction activates longevity genes including sirtuins and AMPK pathways, increases growth hormone and autophagy, improves insulin sensitivity and glucose metabolism, reduces oxidative stress and inflammation, enhances DNA repair mechanisms, and extends healthy lifespan in animal studies by 20 to 40%. These are not small effects. Studies on caloric restriction and protein cycling show dramatic improvements in biomarkers of aging. Intermittent fasting combined with nutrient cycling produces better results than either approach alone. Strategic restriction followed by adequate refeeding creates a rhythm of cellular stress and recovery that optimizes longevity. The beautiful thing about these eating patterns is that every strategy supports every other strategy. When you practice time-restricted eating, protein timing becomes easier. When you time protein properly, nutrient density matters more. When you focus on nutrient density, caloric cycling becomes natural. When you cycle calories, hormetic restriction amplifies benefits. It is a positive cycle that builds on itself. But here is what I want you to understand clearly. These patterns do not replace healthy food choices. They work with healthy foods to provide maximum longevity benefits. Think about it this way. Eating whole foods provides the building blocks for health. Timing and restriction patterns activate the genetic programs for longevity. You need both strategies working together. I have seen patients who timed their eating perfectly, but continued eating processed foods. They got some benefits, but nowhere near their potential. Inflammation stayed high, weight remained elevated, energy stayed low. I have also seen patients who ate incredibly healthy foods, but ate constantly from morning to night. They avoided junk but never gave their bodies time to repair. Their insulin levels stayed elevated. Their cellular cleaning mechanisms stayed dormant. Their longevity genes stayed switched off. The optimal approach combines both. Eat nutrient-dense whole foods within a time-restricted window. Distribute protein properly. Vary caloric intake strategically. Practice periodic nutrient restriction. Together, these strategies provide the strongest foundation for longevity. Neither food quality nor eating patterns alone are sufficient. Both strategies together provide maximum protection against aging and disease. Before we end, I want to leave you with one final thought. A man in his mid-70s came to see me after decades of declining health despite doing everything he thought was right. His name was Vincent. He had followed food pyramids, dietary guidelines, and doctor recommendations perfectly. He ate 3 balanced meals daily. He never skipped breakfast. He avoided fats for 30 years because that's what guidelines recommended. He ate whole grains at every meal. He never let himself get too hungry. He believed constant eating maintained stable blood sugar and prevented muscle loss. Despite following all this advice, Vincent's health deteriorated year after year. By age 73, he was taking medication for diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and chronic inflammation. He weighed 218 pounds at 5 foot 9 inches. His energy was terrible. He needed a nap every afternoon. His memory was declining. His doctor had warned him about cardiovascular disease risk and possible early dementia. Vincent felt betrayed. He had done everything right according to traditional advice, yet he was falling apart. When Vincent came to my office, he was frustrated and skeptical. He had tried multiple diets over the years. Nothing worked long-term. He expected me to give him another list of foods to avoid or supplements to take. Instead, we had a different conversation. I asked about when he ate, not just what he ate. I asked about meal frequency, eating windows, fasting periods, and hunger patterns. I explained that his body had been locked in constant fed state for 70 years. His insulin levels had never dropped fully since childhood. His cells had never activated deep repair mechanisms. His metabolism had adapted to constant food intake by becoming increasingly insulin resistant. Vincent listened carefully, though I could see the doubt in his eyes. Then he asked me a simple question. If 3 meals a day is wrong, why did everyone tell me it was right? I explained that nutrition science evolves. What seemed logical 50 years ago during the industrial era, when people needed to fuel physical labor throughout the day, does not match what we now know about cellular biology, longevity pathways, and metabolic health. The body does not need constant fuel. It needs periods of fuel followed by periods of repair. We started simply. I did not ask Vincent to fast for 24 hours or completely overhaul his diet overnight. We began with a 12-hour eating window. He stopped eating by 7 p.m. and did not eat again until 7 a.m. Just that change, nothing else different, produced noticeable results within 2 weeks. His morning blood sugar readings dropped by an average of 18 points. His energy improved slightly. His sleep quality increased. After 1 month of the 12-12 pattern, we progressed to 14-10. He stopped eating by 7 p.m. and did not eat until 9 a.m. He skipped his early breakfast and had his first meal mid-morning. He was surprised that he did not feel weak or hungry. In fact, his morning mental clarity improved. After 2 months, we moved to 16-8. First meal at 11 a.m., last meal by 7 p.m. We also restructured his protein intake. Instead of spreading small amounts across 3 meals, he ate 30 grams of protein at 11 a.m. and 35 grams at 6 p.m. We increased nutrient density dramatically. More vegetables, more healthy fats from fish and avocados, fewer processed carbohydrates. We added 2 lower-calorie days weekly for caloric cycling. The transformation over the next 10 months was nothing short of remarkable. Vincent lost 44 pounds, dropping from 218 to 174. His waist circumference decreased from 42 inches to 34 inches. His hemoglobin A1C fell from 7.8 to 5.6, moving him from diabetic to normal range. His fasting blood sugar normalized completely. His doctor reduced his diabetes medication by 75%, with plans to eliminate it entirely. His blood pressure improved so much that one medication was discontinued. His cholesterol ratios improved dramatically without changing his statin dose. His inflammatory markers, particularly high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, dropped from 6.2 to 0.8. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Vincent looked different. His face was leaner, his eyes clearer, his posture more upright. He moved with energy and confidence. He no longer needed afternoon naps. His mental fog lifted completely. He told me he felt sharper than he had in 20 years. His wife said he seemed like a different person, more engaged, more present, more alive. When Vincent came back for his 1-year follow-up appointment, he said something I will never forget. He looked me in the eye and said, "I spent 70 years eating the way everyone told me to eat. I followed the rules. I trusted the experts. And I got sicker every year. In less than 1 year of eating differently, not starving myself, not suffering, just eating at different times with better foods, I reversed decades of damage. I only wish I had known this 20 years ago. How many years did I lose? How much damage could I have prevented?" His voice was emotional when he said that last part. There was sadness for the lost time, but also profound gratitude for the transformation. He realized that it is never too late to change. Even at 74, after decades of metabolic damage, his body responded powerfully when given the right signals. That is the difference between following tradition and following science. That is the difference between eating out of habit and eating for longevity. Tradition says 3 meals daily. Science says time-restricted eating with proper nutrient timing. Habit says eat when the clock says it's time. Longevity says eat when it serves your cellular health. Vincent listened carefully, though I could see the doubt in his eyes. Then he asked me a simple question. If 3 meals a day is wrong, why did everyone tell me it was right? I explained that nutrition science evolves. What seemed logical 50 years ago during the industrial era, when people needed to fuel physical labor throughout the day, does not match what we now know about cellular biology, longevity pathways, and metabolic health. The body does not need constant fuel. It needs periods of fuel followed by periods of repair. We started simply. I did not ask Vincent to fast for 24 hours or completely overhaul his diet overnight. We began with a 12-hour eating window. He stopped eating by 7 p.m. and did not eat again until 7 a.m. Just that change, nothing else different, produced noticeable results within 2 weeks. His morning blood sugar readings dropped by an average of 18 points. His energy improved slightly. His sleep quality increased.